You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
There we go. That's it. You know that part that says, what's going to take to get you into this car today, huh? The best part of that is, that little thing at the end. But when I was a stockbroker a million years ago, it was a time where you would like write out your entire pitch. And like in the middle of the pitch, you would have areas for questions, but like the whole thing was 3 pages, all written out. And I'll never forget the close was 1 letter. The close was, okay. That was it. So after all that, why don't we pick up 1,000 shares and get started today? Okay.
Okay.
Like you had it, like K was written, and it was just a letter. It was just written K.
Gail loves it. She's like, don't worry about how to sell. It's about why people buy. But my favorite part, Gail, is what he says right after. It's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, the whole thing.
You hear that enough.
You know, I have I have a little routine in the morning, and part of the routine is write down, floss and brush, but one of them is work on your goals. And I have a little routine for working on my goals, and I flip to my page in my book, my old school, I don't have it with me, my old school Franklin Planner, and there's goals there, and you read them. And sometimes I read old stuff that meant something to me a while ago. And, just yesterday I read one, and it was a poem by a woman who wrote, she was 85 years old. And the thing was, people of this age, when you think back about your life, you never think about the regrets of things that you did. You always think about the regrets of things you never did or didn't do enough. And so one of her lines was, next time around, I'd be sillier. And so it's fun.
You got to have fun. If you don't like what you're doing, do something else, right? I mean, have a little fun. If you've got to do it, try to make some fun out of it.
What the heck? It doesn't matter anyway,
It was, I don't know, maybe last month, you called me and you were so stoked. You were just like, we got a big dog. We got a big dog. And I'm like, dude, you say that every time. He's like, no. Yeah. You're like, we got a great guest. So I think you've never been more excited than to have this guest on our show.
It's somebody that can hang with me. That's what it is. Well, I had, and bring him up in a second, but I finally kind of met my match. I got a guy who enjoys the cold call. I mean, enjoys the whole process of finding a stranger and turning them into something less than that. Who knows what it'll be. But and the guy's remarkably good at it, and he has answers for every kind of mild objection, and he just makes people like him quickly. Why don't you bring him aboard so other people can share on this?
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to Dan Jordan Live one of the top 30 global gurus, #1 in keynote speaking, sales training with the #1 sales training program. And of course, you know him as the host of Sales Edge podcast. Please welcome Mr. Joe Pici.
Hey, what's up? It's good to see you guys. I'm fired up.
You ought to be. I mean, that was just when I spoke with you. So this is, let me tell you how I met the Peachster over here. So I was looking around and checking things out or whatever I was doing, and I saw something somewhere that said, "Hey, text this number, and you'll get some stuff." And so, the heck do I care? It's free stuff. I'll text the number. So I texted a number, got some free stuff. I'm looking at it. About a minute and a half later, maybe even less, my phone rings. It's Joe Pici, the guy who provided the stuff. And so I'm like, this guy is a winner. So we talked for a little bit, and I said, dude, please be on my show. Please be on my show. What was that thing that I did?
All right, that's what, everything we do is intentional. So I have this texting service, looks like you have it too. And, if I'm on a podcast or if I'm on a stage, or if I'm in a training room, we have a thing you text into Sales Edge, one word, to 55678. And there's free video courses on virtual selling. There's our podcast, there's downloads. And when people send that in, they get all this free stuff and they can opt into our CRM, but I get their phone number. And so I reach out and call them. It's that simple. I wish it was more complicated.
But so that's it. And so where most people would just go ahead and they got then they start sending you email and they'll send you other things. You want to make that kind of immediate connection with somebody. So it's old school, picking up the phone. Do you have like a scripted word that you say to them when you do the phone, or is it just you just throw it out there?
I don't throw anything out there. I'm very intentional. And, I was with a CEO day before yesterday, and he says to me, he goes, "Look, Joe, my people don't like scripts." I said, "Look, Mike, the top actors in the world are Italian, Brando, Pacino, Stallone, and they all have a script. But when you know your script, it doesn't sound like a script. So everything we do is intentional because I believe in the learn, do, teach principle. The reason why I stay in sales training is I still sell. And so we help to take all the confusion out of what do you say when you pick up the phone. And so when people own that, they feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah, and then you just go from there. And so I was on a call with somebody yesterday, great guy. And he was talking, what he does is he supplies cold callers for other companies, lists and all sorts of other things, but he supplies cold callers for other companies. So a lot of times he's like a recruiting agent. He sells out a lot of ads and all that stuff. And then a lot of people send in resumes. He said in the last 5 years, he's probably got 500,000 resumes, that people send in for all these jobs that they're trying to do. But he says, I've had less than 20 people who are looking for these jobs.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone and call me. Less than 20.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the opportunity for a salesperson? Any salesperson that's out of work, it should be 24 hours. What they should do is just pick up the phone and call. What prevents them from doing that?
Well, I think there's a number of things. I think number one, they're afraid, but they're afraid because they've never been trained properly. Now, I'm not saying our methodology is the best in the world. What I'm saying is that I don't look, Dan, you exemplify charisma. You have talent, you have charisma. Well, I was never given that. You understand? I don't have that charisma.
But you got the looks. That's what it is.
I have a process and I have skills. And in the world of sales, you can't teach what you have, Dan. You can't teach talent. You can't teach charisma, but you can teach processes and skills. So the majority of people that won't pick up the phone have never been trained correctly in a methodology. And when I mean training, they keep working at it and working at it. So therefore, they're afraid of the unknown. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people don't pick up the phone.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, there's so much like extra stuff that you put in there that's psychological that people are not picking up. But when you talk the way you're speaking, it's believable. The way you're talking, your tonality, and even the fact how you present yourself, one of the top 30 in the world. Top 30 is kind of, hey, you might be 29 for all I know, but who's counting? Who knows what it is? But if you said, top top 5, if you said number 1, you're just saying that. But like top 30, I believe it. And those are the types. How did you come up with that?
Well, there's this association out there called Global Gurus. And 4 years ago, I was training players in the NFL that were getting out, and they were looking to get into corporate America or open up their own business. And I go upstairs and check my email, and it says, congratulations, you've been ranked in the top 30 sales trainers and speakers by Global Guru. So I thought it was one of those deals where if you send in $500, you get this award. Kind of like when your kids are in school, the Honor Society. So I called my wife at home. I said, check these people out. This could be bogus. Well, you can't pay to play. And she calls me back and she goes, I don't know how you made this list.
Oh, look at that.
She goes, everybody else is spending millions of dollars on advertising. We don't spend anything. So I was number 29. Well, the next year was number 3. But I'm not politically linked into any of these people. Like I'm not like a big kumbaya person. And I guess you have to be voted in. Well, this year, not this year, but 2020, we're still waiting for 21. I get ranked number 1. Now, that and a cup of coffee, I have no illusions. All I know is this. We will only train and speak and coach on what you can measure as a client and what we do. So I sell all our training. I train all of our sales training because that's what we do. Okay. We also work with speakers, coaches, and trainers, not on how to hold a microphone, but how to get paid for doing it. So everything we do is about growth and productivity.
That's awesome. You know how I first heard about you? Kurt Mercandante.
Yeah.
He's awesome, Kurt. Now, Chris Stone was just on his podcast the other day. Is that guy not like the most beautiful man? I mean, he's just like
he's just a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And I saw him and he had me on his show. And so I'm on there and so I give out the 5, 5, 6, 7, 8 deal. And he goes on vacation and he takes it with him. And he types it in while he's driving into the mountains. And I call him. Hey, buddy, this is Joe Pici. He goes, you got to be kidding me. I just sent that in. I said, well, why would I kid you? I mean, this is who I am. So, I mean, you don't lie about that stuff. And I believe in being very politely direct. I don't sneak up on people. And that's what we teach. We teach people to have consultative approach, but to be politely direct. And so he winds up coming to our sales boot camp and our speaker boot camp. And we've become great friends.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, he's the one who told me about that because I did the same thing with him. And he called me. And so I said, where do you get this thing? And then I called you and you got me hooked up. It's the greatest thing ever if you go the next step and pick up the dang phone.
We have 22 ways we generate prospect leads. I would say that's our number 3 highest revenue producing lead generation tool.
Really? And it's because and it's not new technology. It's just using it differently. And
it's like when everyone else is zigging, everyone else is trying to cram people into their funnels, you're doing this. And it sets you apart from what most everyone else is doing.
It's I've always been an advocate of the first point of contact being the telephone. And, people will say, well, we do this and we do that and we do this, we do that. We do, when COVID hit, everybody lost money. We lost a bunch of money in 1 hour. And I looked at my wife and I said, we're fine because I have always sold virtually. It's just what we can deliver virtually. And that wasn't a problem. And so I think the first point of virtual selling is making that first contact, being able to get on the phone with someone. And I think that's where you begin to build that trust.
That's exactly right. And so even with speakers right now to get virtual gigs, you're you're coaching them to go ahead and pick up the phone and call these people?
Look, when somebody works with me,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to coach them on how to utilize the phone, how to get in front of your target market, how to craft the right messaging that qualifies the prospect. Let me tell you what I mean. I don't want to meet with just everybody, and they don't want to always meet with me. So in 1 or 2 sentences, we know if we should have any more conversation. I don't talk people into anything. I qualify them to see if we should take the next step.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of disqualifying people politely, but you just got to do, because there's 3 things that people need in order to be a customer. They need the need or desire. They need the ability to make a decision. So, whatever position they're in, they can strike a check, and they need to have the money. And if they don't have one of those 3 things, they're not a bad person. It's not, it's not like a good fit or bad fit or anything. It's just, hey, this isn't the program for you.
Yeah.
And so what do and you say you have other ways to go. So what's your main gig? Like what's something, if you're meeting somebody who, hey, Joe, I just need to get in front of more people and I need to make more sales for my company. I got 3 guys, they're doing all right, but I know I'm frustrated. I know it could do better. What do you suggest I do?
First thing I'd suggest is, let me tell you what I do. I specialize in helping sales teams generate more leads, book more appointments, and close more business. Now, what I just did there was I set the table for a quality meeting. So my process is very simple. First, you have to have leads, whether they're inbound or outbound, whatever. Then you have to be able to pick up the phone and get an appointment. The appointment transitions to what I call a core story, which is 90% them talking, 10% me talking. In that core story, I'm looking for what they don't want, what they do want, and do they have a timeline, and to share my uniqueness. From there, we either move to next step, which is proposal. Okay. And so my process doesn't change. I don't care if the people fall out of the sky. No one's going to get me out of my process.
So here's a question. When it comes to proposal part, do they already know the cost? Do they already know the fee, that part?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Are you surprising them with the proposal, with the cost or the fee for your service, or do they know it before you send the proposal?
All right. I'm going to give you a secret sauce here, Dan.
Well, it's not me, baby. It's for the worldwide audience.
All right.
Of the Dan Duran line.
Georgia to Kazakhstan.
Corporately, if it's a corporate deal, I send them a proposal without the price to make sure. It's kind of the old days when they sold cars. They flipped you the keys, you drove it home, and you didn't want to bring it back. I got to make sure they buy into the proposal. Then I resend it with a price. I never talk money until they're in my sequence. They're not going to get me to react. I'm going to be proactive in all my selling.
Well, how much does it cost, Joe? I'm a corporate guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll role playing now.
Would you like a formal proposal?
Yeah, sure. That'll be fine. But I go on an idea of how much it's going to cost.
I'll have this proposal to you in 30 seconds. I'm going to call you immediately. Make sure we hit the right scope of work. From there, if it's exactly what you want, we'll move into pricing.
Yeah. All right. I'm in a corner. Okay. Well, I mean, listen, Joe, I don't want to waste your time. It might not be something that we can afford.
That's right. But it's been my experience, a prescription without an examination is malpractice. I have to make sure I hit the mark.
So it might not even be so, but you already told me what this whole thing is about. And I'm already in. If it's what you just said on the phone here, I'm in as long as I can afford it.
Right. I'm going to put it in a document for you. We're going to make sure it's exactly what you want, and we'll move into pricing.
Okay. All right. Off role play. Yeah. You win.
Here's what I've learned.
Yes.
Salespeople move into products and pricing before they find out what this person wants to improve, what they want to accomplish, what is their timeline. Without a timeline, the best proposals in the world go nowhere. And I can tell you, before I really went to 100% process selling, people would always say, I'm in, Joe. I'm in. Let's go. And it wouldn't happen.
Then they go into the witness protection program.
Yeah,
this is gold.
The dark hole. And so now, very gently, I move them into my proposal. 85% of sales happens between the 6th and the 15th contact. Whenever you start skipping, whenever you become reactionary and you start playing to their wanting an answer, nobody gets an answer until I take you through my process. For this reason, if I take you through my process, I can charge more. Now they're not comparing it to the other proposal they received that they didn't even get a proposal. They just got a quote. Here's another thing. So many times that person tells you they can make the decision, but they don't have the power to do it. That proposal is a document that they can share with other people, and it has a little bit more teeth to it.
And it doesn't have the numbers on it, so they can't squelch it. They can't squelch it by saying, "Oh, it's over our budget at this point." They have to show.
And here's another secret sauce moment. The minute I hit send with the proposal, I pick up the phone. I go, Dan, Joe Pici, not looking for a decision. Want to make sure you got the proposal. You can open it, and it's not in my spam mail.
Okay, what if you get their message machine? That's the message?
I do it again. I say the same thing.
Okay,
I have shortened time to contract drastically because they've actually opened it right now and they get their eyes on that proposal.
So this is money. So now for those who are watching this, the big thing that he provides, this main money maker or good thing that helps other people is these boot camps. Tell me the process of your boot camp. How many days is it? And what's
it's a 3-day boot camp, and we live in the Wild West here in Florida. So we're open. We had them in June. We had it in October. We're 50% sold out of April. We do a 3-day intensive. First day, it's all about communication styles, how you sell each behavior style, listening skills, the sales process. Second day is a deep dive into target marketing, messaging, value propositions, uniqueness, how you navigate gatekeepers, how you get a return phone call, lead generation. Third day, we kick up the coffee, and for 90 minutes, we're making live outbound telephone calls, booking real appointments in real time. And we move into core story, sales presentations, virtually as well as live, and we move into priority and time management. I do that in boot camps. I also go in and do it for corporations, and I also do it in private coaching.
That's money. So it's a 3-day thing that they're making these calls. So on the third day, you're actually on the phone doing. Do you ever book any business there? Do you ever book any appointments there?
Okay, we started this in about 2004. We have never had less than a 71% conversion to appointment. We get through 92% of the gatekeepers. We get 45 to 50 return phone calls the same day. And we have closed for the last 4 boat camps, 6 figures worth of hard money.
Boat camps. Yeah. That's
results. You don't hear results like that.
That's because we don't. The majority of sales trainers, and they're great, don't get me wrong, they're focusing more on mindset, motivation, or strategy.
Yeah.
We decided we were going to be the premium skill-based training sales company in America. We wanted to teach people how to do it for real. Look, people go, do you role play? No, we real play. Okay? Because at the end of the day, our training pays for itself.
That's exactly right. It really does. And this is like, Christo, remember when I did that presentation and I hopped on the phone and made a call right there live in front of everybody?
Absolutely. You got to get the
And-
reps in while you can. Why
Yeah.
why practice? Go real time, you know?
And
There's
we
nothing
do
wrong
that.
with it.
We do that all the time. Not once, and maybe it's different with you, Joe, but not once when I did a live call in front of a group of people did I die. You know,
Dan,
not one time.
Dan, here's the deal. And you're a war horse, man. You're the real deal. All right. Or you and I would have never clicked. But the secret is, how do you transfer that to those 20 people?
Mm-hmm.
See, you're not afraid of phone. I'm not afraid of phone. But how do you take people that have had an aversion for the phone? They've listened to all these bogus beliefs. Nobody will answer. Nobody returns phone calls. And get them through the process so when they pick up that phone, they start getting real results in real time. Okay? That's why we decided that was going to be a cornerstone. But let me say this. That doesn't happen. You don't get those results without day 2 of the intense vertical development of the script. I will not sell scripts, because a script without understanding, it's not going to work.
It's just words on a paper. You're absolutely right. It's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it and
Sure.
how they receive it through the feeling. It's like, smiling on the phone. It's the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Chris Stone, do we have any questions from anybody here in the,
Lots of comments, and people are picking up, what Joe's putting down, and apparently June wanted you to push Joe a little bit more when you guys were role playing, and she definitely wishes that more people would fall out of the sky, to Joe's earlier point. But here's a great comment here from Kevin. I would also add practice and repetition breeds confidence.
So
Yeah.
Kevin Downey was the person that I spoke with yesterday who said he's got 500,000 resumes and less than 20 people call. And these are salespeople, who are looking for work as a telemarketer type of thing.
Years ago, I was selling training to a big insurance company, and they were having a conference. I drove over to the conference. I'm sitting down with the sales manager, and we're doing the core story. And this guy comes over. He's in his 60s. He goes, "Hey, Joe, I know you get paid well, but can I ask you one free coaching question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "I've been doing this for 42 years, and the last 10 people I hired failed. In fact, I go back further." And I said, "Well, what type of insurance do you sell?" He goes, "Property and casualty." I said, "I bet you do all those behavioral assessments, and you give them a disc profile, and you do all that." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm going to save you a lot of time and money. Write out a script and have 20 names for somebody to call. Halfway through the interview, slide the thing across the table and say, I don't care what results you get. I want you to call them and read the script." He goes, "What?" I said, "Look, property and casualty is about outbound calls. You can't build a big property and casualty business without, and eventually you run out of people you know. So you got to start calling people you don't know. If they won't pick up the phone, you just saved yourself a salary."
Listen, I'm telling for those of you who are watching this thing, it'll see on repeats and anything. What you just got right there will literally save you tens of thousands of dollars and probably your marriage. The amount of frustration that you get when you come home and you're like, "You're not going to believe what they did. Do you know they didn't show up? We trained them. We did the whole thing, the whole process. It was a 6-week process. Their first day on the job, they just decided not to show up. They can't handle it."
It's funny. I have a new client who did the texting service in when was it? October.
Uh-huh.
I picked up he did the texting service 4 months before. I called him. He never called me back. I called him every week for like 3 months. He finally picked up the phone. I gave him my value proposition. He said, "I've been following you for 3.5 months." I said, "Great." One thing led to another. They sell a certain product, and 100% of their business was inbound. And he was hired to turn them around and increase by 20% based on revenue through outbound. Well, his whole team was inbound based. And so when I asked him, I said, what is it that you want to improve about your team? He said, I need them to be able to pick up the phone, book an appointment, and sell. So he says, Joe, I'm talking to a number of the top sales trainers in America. And I guess he didn't think I was one of them. And I said, that's fine. I said, I got 2 questions for you. Yeah. Can you get any of them to call you back? And are they going to do live outbound telephone call training? He goes, no, most of their stuff is virtual. And I said, great. If you want to do that, fine. But keep my number because you'll be back. Because you cannot train outbound live calls virtually. It's got to be in real time. Well, he brings his team to the boot camp, brings 4 people plus himself. He's the only CEO I've ever had come to the training. He went through the total training. Now remember, they were making no outbound calls. This is the last week of October. We get them on the phone. They're like not happy. But we work through it and they start making calls from November 1st to December 21st. Those 4 people, we got them up to like 100. Let's say this, they made 4,200 outbound calls.
Gosh.
We literally moved the needle. They now have 12% of their revenue already is coming from outbound. Look, you want to change a culture, you change a behavior. The phone will change a culture and behavior faster than any tool in the business.
Yeah, that's what I always say. It's the best training the best sales training is the cold call. You have to give your value prop until the point where you believe it.
Yeah,
and once you start living it and believe it, and it's there.
There's really very little difference between a warm, cold, and hot call, except for the first sentence. The first sentence is your segue. Hey, Bob told me to call you. But after that, whether it's warm, cold, or hot, it's all the same. It's what's in it for them.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, that's where we go. So that boot camp, how does somebody reach you for that boot camp?
First of all, you can call me at 407-947-2590 for a complimentary cup of Joe.
You know, if we had a real producer here, your number would probably be on.
It's right on the screen, Dan. If we had, if you had real.
You have a great producer.
Thanks, Joe.
You can link up with me on LinkedIn, Joe Pici. I look exactly how I look now. I always dress in black so people don't mess with me. Okay. Also, please know this. Okay. This is a different type of training. I do private coaching. I really do help speakers, trainers, and coaches turn their talent and intellectual property into cash. So reach out to me through LinkedIn, call me. I'm not a real big email guy. If you don't have the nerve to call me, I'm an easy guy to talk to. You're going to have a hard time calling anybody else because I'm saying call me. We'll have a cup of Joe. But LinkedIn, my website is piciandpici.com, PICIAND, We just launched the second business, sellmorevirtually.com. It's a membership platform every Thursday night.
Oh, that's great.
I'm on live doing a training and coaching for a group. We have downloads. We have interviews. We're going to have Dan on our show, and he'll be part of that. And so, the most important thing is, you have to create habits, and there's really no competition in sales today because most people are really not selling, they're marketing. And there's a big difference.
Yes. Yeah. Well, first you make your habits, then your habits make you.
Exactly.
And it becomes second nature. In fact, after this today from let's see, from one to 2, I'm doing something. From 2 to 3 is my cold call time. And when my cold call time, my phone, the company phone gets shut off, my email gets shut off, everything gets shut off, and I just hit it. And it's really not to get customers. It's to make me sane. I got to talk to somebody. It's the only time you're in control. When you're making the outbound call, it's the only time you're in control of what's going on. And, people who are married realize this. And
yeah.
So you just.
Here's another thing. You have to be careful what goes in your head. And a lot of people will say the best time to make calls is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday between 10 and 2. And I'm here to tell you, I have booked more appointments between 7 a.m. and noon on a Monday. I've closed more contracts between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. You know, you make the phone calls.
Stoner, is this guy singing my song? I mean, this is crazy.
This is 100%. Joe, I have a question. I've been dying to ask, but you guys are so good. I just, I can't find an open space to breathe here. So you talked at length about the process, right? But you also touched on people who are charismatic, like Dan and even Kurt and some of these other people who have that charisma, and some people who don't have that charisma, yet they know that they need to pick up the phone and they need that process. So, but what I like about what you're doing is you can deal with someone who's in both camps. You can say, all right, you're someone who has that charisma. We can take it to this level. You're someone who doesn't have, and the process works for everyone. What are some people that you may have worked with, and you don't have to name names or anything, that maybe don't have the charisma of a Dan Jordan or a Kurt Mercadante?
Okay. That's a great question.
How does that work in your process?
The majority of people, when they hire a salesperson, tends to hire people with Dan's personality. Outgoing, very people-oriented, but has the driver in him. And so they hire based on that. Yet, over the years, and I've been doing this for like a million years, we've had people show up at our boot camp because their boss sent them. They were very slow-paced. They were shy. They were reticent. They were scared. And they booked the most appointments because they stuck to the process. You see, people think I have to win them over. No, you have to provide solutions, benefits, and results. That's why we spend a whole first day of training learning communication styles, because it's up to me to adapt to your communication style. See, we get into the thing of, if I know your behavior style, I know how you process. If I know how you process, I know how to sell to you. It doesn't take a highly charismatic person to learn that. You see, every behavior style can learn to sell, because selling is a complete process with vertical skills. You master those things. And I've always said, what you should hire in a salesperson is self-discipline and ambition, because you can teach them everything else. But you can't fix lazy, and you can't fix people without discipline. You hire those characteristics, then you build on that, and you train them in the skills and processes. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. And then that maybe they gain more confidence, become more charismatic a little bit. I mean, I understand, like, some people are not born Dan Jordan, some people are not born whatever, but once they get that confidence, maybe they break out of that shell and they become more charismatic after they go through that process.
You know, the bottom line is this: each behavior style buys for a different reason. A task-oriented person can care less about your charisma. I'm telling you that right now.
That's true.
I don't care how warm and fuzzy you are. I don't care about your stories, and I don't care about your jokes. So, so much of the new sales books and training is start every meeting with a story. And I'm not putting that down. But if you start a sales meeting with a story for me, the meeting is done. I don't give a rip about your stories. And so task-oriented people are about content and value and result. So we have to become professionals at selling to everyone and learning how to do that. And so the people who have charisma, that bring charisma to the table, selling to a person that doesn't resonate with,
they think you're a liar. It's against you.
That's
right. Sometimes people hear the speed as enthusiasm. Some people hear the speed as a fast talker.
Yeah, I start every training with content. I don't open up with jokes. I don't open up with stories, because if I did that, I would lose the task-oriented people in the audience. Same thing in sales.
Yes, and you'll keep the other ones. The other ones will hang around because they're
They're
waiting
patient.
for the story.
Look,
Yeah.
they're just waiting for a story.
That's right. Yeah, so
They're waiting for you to bring a zinger, you know?
I think that's so. Here's the real question. I gotta find this. Joe Pici,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Do you have lasagna before the turkey?
No.
No. What kind of self-respecting Italian Goomba are you, for crying out loud?
Well, you know, I'm allergic to cheese. I'm Italian. I can't even eat pizza. Do you
What the
realize
heck is wrong with you?
pizza is my favorite food? And somewhere over the years, I became allergic to cheese.
Ay,
How bad is that?
that is that's enough for being disowned. I actually have never heard that. So you're like lactose intolerant. Can you have milk?
I don't know. I figured if I can't eat cheese, I might as well get rid of milk.
So what happens? You just feel
I don't know.
lazy?
You know, all of a sudden one day I started getting itchy when I ate cheese.
Oh, literally, it's like you're like allergic to it.
Yeah, that's it. Look, I don't need to go to a doctor to find out I'm allergic. I eat this, my eyes get itchy, I'm done.
You know, that's exactly right. You know, really, we could end that. That's so. If you get anything from this podcast or this live show today, what you need to know is that your body is going to tell you when things are screwing up. The fact that you're not making sales isn't that the sale isn't there. It's that you're doing something wrong. Work on yourself and your job will change. Change your behaviors and you'll change your results. And that's in terms of strategy, that's terms into technology, and that's terms of the actual work that you're doing every day, making contact with your customer. Change the way you make the customer, and it might just be simpler than harder. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Pici, for hanging out with us today. And nobody is better than, once again, best show ever. Way to go, Chris Stone. No one's better than you.
Listen, I'm just pushing buttons. Joe brought so much gold. I mean, I feel like there's probably 10 or 12 quotes in there.
I know. We're going to see. By the way, I'm stealing all your stuff. You guys are awesome. I'm the Deej. Go get him today, will you?